Dear students, welcome to my YouTube channel, Your Short Questions with Narayan. Today we will be discussing about human rights law, which will be consisting of very short answer type questions, and long answer type questions with their answers. This video's content is very useful for UGC NET law exam, judiciary exams, UPSC exams, state PCS exams, 12th legal studies exams. Apart from that, it is also important for law related other competitive exams. So let's start from question number 1. What is the primary law for the enforcement of human rights in India? This is the Protection of Human Rights Act of 1993. Which constitutional body is responsible for the protection of human rights in India? In short, we call it NHRC, National Human Rights Commission. In which year was the NHRC established? In 1993. Name 2 human rights guaranteed by the Indian Constitution: right to equality under Article 14, right to life under Article 21. Under which article of the Indian Constitution can writs be issued for the enforcement of fundamental rights? If it is in Supreme Court, we need to invoke Article 32, and it is Article 226 for the High Courts. Who can approach the NHRC with a human rights complaint? Any individual can approach, also any organization. What is the maximum tenure of the chairperson of the NHRC? 5 years or until the age of 70, whichever is earlier. Who is current chairperson of NHRC? Srimati or Mrs. Vijaya Bharati Sayani is the acting chairperson. She is not the real chairperson. She is the acting chairperson after the retirement of Justice Arun Kumar Mishra in 2024. Name 1 international covenant related to human rights that India has ratified. India has ratified ICCPR, which is the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Which article of the Constitution prohibits discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex or place of birth? It is Article 15. What is the role of the state human rights commissions? To address human rights issues at the state level. In national level, that is NHRC. In state level, we call it HSRCs. What is the primary purpose of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UDHR? To protect and promote human rights worldwide. Which of the following international treaties focuses specially on children's rights? That is CRC in short, Convention on the Rights of the Child. When was the Universal Declaration of Human Rights adopted? And in December 1948, 10th December. So on 10th December we observe Human Rights Day. So it is 10th December of 1948. Name the first human rights declaration in history. It is the Cyrus Cylinder. What is Cyrus Cylinder? We will discuss it later. What are human rights and how are they defined? Human rights are the basic rights and freedoms inherent to all individuals, regardless of nationality, race, gender or religion. They are universal, indivisible and interdependent, aimed at ensuring dignity, equality and justice for every human being. Trace the historical roots of the concept of human rights. The concept of human rights can be traced back to ancient civilizations like Mesopotamia civilization, Greece civilization, where the Code of Hammurabi and Athenian democracy emphasized justice and individual rights. The Magna Carta of 1215 and the Enlightenment period further developed the ideas of inherent rights. Hammurabi, who is Hammurabi? He was the 6th king of the first Babylonian dynasty, reigning from 1792 BC to 1750 BC. And his code is known as Code of Hammurabi. What was the Persian Emperor Cyrus' contribution to human rights protection in Babylon? In the previous question number 16, we talked about Cyrus Cylinder, which is the first human rights law. It is considered as. So, what he did? After winning the war with Babylon, Cyrus freed the slaves to return home. Cyrus declared that all people had the right to choose their own religion. What a good man he was. How did the origin of human rights begin? The origin of human rights began in the year 539 BC when troops of Cyrus the Great conquered Babylon. After winning the war with Babylon, Cyrus freed the slaves to return home. Cyrus declared that all people had the right to choose their own religion. What is UDHR? The Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a landmark document adopted by the United Nations General Assembly on December 10, 1948. It was the first global statement outlining the inherent rights and freedoms entitled to all human beings regardless of nationality, race, religion, gender or any other status. What is the significance of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? The UDHR laid the foundation for numerous international human rights treaties, conventions and national laws. It is celebrated annually on Human Rights Day, that is on December 10th. Adopted by the United Nations General Assembly on December 10, 1948, the UDHR is a landmark document that outlines the universal rights and freedoms to which all humans are entitled. Name two significant historical events that influenced the modern human rights movement. The French Revolution of 1789 with its declaration of the rights of man and of the citizen, and the atrocities of World War II, which led to the establishment of the United Nations and adoption of the UDHR. When was the UDHR adopted? December 10, 1948. How many articles are there in the UDHR? 30 articles. Which organization adopted the UDHR? The United Nations General Assembly. Name any one right mentioned in the UDHR. The right to life, liberty and security. It is mentioned in under Article 3 of the UDHR. Is the UDHR legally binding? No, it is not legally binding. What are the main categories of rights addressed in the UDHR? Civil and political rights. These are freedom of speech, right to life. Economic, social and cultural rights. These are right to education, right to work. What does Article 1 of the UDHR state? Article 1 states, all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. How does the UDHR promote equality? The UDHR promotes equality by affirming that all rights and freedoms outlined in the declaration are to be enjoyed by everyone without discrimination based on race, gender, religion, nationality or other status. How has the UDHR influenced international law? The UDHR has influenced international law by serving as the foundation for key human rights treaties such as the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights (ICCPR) and the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, that is ICSCR. What is the difference between individual and group rights as per the UDHR? Individual rights focus on the fundamental freedoms and protections granted to each person, that is right to life, freedom of speech, while group rights protect the rights of specific communities or groups such as the right to cultural, religious and social expression. Which article of the UDHR guarantees the right to freedom of thought, conscience and religion? Article 18 guarantees the right to freedom of thought, conscience and religion, including the freedom to change religion or belief and to practice it individually or in a community. आर्टिकल 18 में क्या है? अपनी सोच, अपनी संज्ञा और अपने धर्म के बारे में सबको स्वाधीन अधिकार है. वो अपने रिलीजन को चेंज कर सकते हैं या अपनी विश्वास को चेंज कर सकते हैं या जो भी विश्वास या रिलीजन को फॉलो करना चाहते हैं वो कर सकते हैं. एक ग्रुप में भी कर सकते हैं और खुद अकेले एक व्यक्ति भी कर सकता है. What group rights are mentioned in the UDHR to protect cultural and religious right identity? एक ग्रुप में ऐसे कौन सा अधिकार है जो कि UDHR में लिखा गया है? Article 18 and 27 protect group rights, allowing individuals to freely practice their religion, participate in cultural life and enjoy the benefit of scientific advancement. 18 और 27 आर्टिकल UDHR में जो ग्रुप राइट है, एक समूह का अधिकार है, उसमें एक इंडिविजुअल को किसी भी धर्म को फॉलो करना, कोई भी सांस्कृतिक कार्यक्रम में हिस्सा लेना और जितने भी साइंटिफिक एडवांसमेंट, वैज्ञानिक आविष्कार, वैज्ञानिक उद्भावन जितने भी हैं, उनके जो बेनिफिट है उसको एंजॉय करना। हाउ आर फंडामेंटल राइट्स इन इंडिया कनेक्टेड टू ह्यूमन राइट्स? Question number 34. How are the fundamental rights in India are connected to human rights? Fundamental rights in India enshrined in Part 3 of the Constitution. Both fundamental rights and human rights aim to promote and protect the dignity, freedom and well-being of individuals. Which fundamental right in India corresponds to the right to equality in human rights? The right to equality guaranteed under Article 14 to 18. You must remember these two articles. Article 14 to 18, the right to equality guaranteed under the Constitution of India, they correspond to human rights, principle of equity and non-discrimination. How does the Indian Constitution protect the right to freedom of religion? Article 25 to 28 of the Indian Constitution guarantees the freedom of religion, ensuring individuals and groups can profess, practice and propagate their religion, similar to Article 18 of the UDHR. इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में जो आर्टिकल है 25 टू 28, ये किसी भी इंडिविजुअल को धर्म की स्वाधीनता देता है, धर्म की आज़ादी देता है कि कोई भी इंडिविजुअल और कोई भी ग्रुप अपने इच्छा के अनुसार, अपने पसंद के अनुसार कोई भी धर्म को अपना सकता है, उसके प्रैक्टिस कर सकता है और धर्म का प्रचार एवं प्रसार भी करता है। वही चीज यूडीएचआर का आर्टिकल 18 में भी मेंशन्ड है। Which fundamental right in India protects against exploitation and how is it a human right? Article 23 and 24 protect against exploitation by prohibiting human trafficking, forced labor and child labor. These protections uphold human dignity and align with human rights principles outlined in the UDHR. Short and long answer type questions. What is UDHR? What are its features and its structure? The UDHR is a landmark document adopted by the United Nations General Assembly on December 10, 1948. It was the first global statement outlining the inherent rights and freedoms entitled to all human beings regardless of nationality, race, religion, gender or any other status. UDHR क्या है? UDHR एक ऐसा ख्यातिनामा डॉक्यूमेंट है, पेपर है, जो कि यूनाइटेड नेशन जनरल असेंबली के द्वारा दिसंबर 10, 1948 को एडॉप्ट किया गया था। ये पूरी दुनिया भर का सबसे पहला ऐसा डॉक्यूमेंट था जिसमें कि मानव अधिकार के बारे में बात की गई थी, जो कि ना किसी भी देश, जाति, धर्म और लिंग भेद ना करते हुए सबको मानव अधिकार दिया जाए। फीचर्स ऑफ यूडीएचआर: यूनिवर्सल, इट अप्लाइज टू एवरी इंडिविजुअल वर्ल्ड वाइड, ये सबके लिए लागू होता है। Indivisible and interdependent, all rights are equally important and interconnected. सारे मानव अधिकार का मूल्य, सारे मानव अधिकार का मूल्य बहुत होता है और ये एक दूसरे से जुड़े हुए हैं। नॉन बाइंडिंग, although not legally enforceable, it serves as a moral and political framework for human rights. नॉन बाइंडिंग मीन्स ये ह्यूमन राइट्स का जो यूडीएचआर का जो आर्टिकल्स है, ये किसी के ऊपर बाध्य नहीं है, फिर भी मानव अधिकार को बढ़ाने के लिए और मानव अधिकार के ऊपर बाकी जो सारे स्टेप्स लिए गए हैं उसके लिए इसने फाउंडेशन ले किया था। स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ यूडीएचआर: प्रीएम्बल और आर्टिकल्स। प्रीएम्बल एक्सप्लेन्स द नीड फॉर यूनिवर्सल ह्यूमन राइट्स टू प्रमोट फ्रीडम, जस्टिस एंड पीस। 30 आर्टिकल्स. UDHR has 30 articles. Define various civil, political, economic, social and cultural rights such as right to life, liberty and security in Article 3, freedom from torture and degrading treatment Article 5, right to work and education Article 23 and 26. Discuss the role of the National Human Rights Commission in the promotion of protection of human rights in India. The NHRC is a statutory body established under the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993 to safeguard and promote human rights in India. Its role is vital in ensuring accountability and upholding the dignity and freedoms guaranteed to individuals. Structure of the NHRC. The NHRC consists of a chairperson, usually a retired Chief Justice of India, but not in all the cases, because recently Justice Arun Kumar Mishra retired in June 2024 as the chairperson of NHRC. He was not the Chief Justice. So, but normally till date before Arun Kumar Mishra, All were retired Chief Justices of India. So, the NHRC consists of a chairperson, members with experience in law, governance and human rights and specialized staff. It operates independently from the government. Functions क्या है इसका? Investigation of violations. The NHRC investigates complaints of human rights violations by public authorities or negligence in preventing such violations. Advisory role. It provides recommendations to the government on measures to strengthen the human rights, improve laws and address systemic issues. Monitoring mechanism. It reviews the implementation of international human rights treaties ratified by India, oversees the functioning of state human rights commissions. Awareness and education. The NHRC promotes awareness through workshops, seminars and publications to educate the public about their rights. Intervention in judicial matters. It intervenes in court cases involving significant human rights issues or files its own petitions. What are the achievements? Investigated major cases of custodial violence, bonded labor and child labor. Recommended compensation for victims and stricter actions against perpetrators. Played a key role in raising awareness about the Right to Information Act and emphasizing justice for marginalized groups. Challenges faced by the NHRC. Limited jurisdiction. Cannot directly act on violations by armed forces or private parties. Recommendations are not binding on the government and insufficient staff and financial resources. What are the human rights? Trace their historical origin. Discuss the types of human rights. It could be a long question. Human rights are fundamental rights and freedoms that are inherent to all human beings, regardless of nationality, ethnicity, gender, religion, or any other status. These rights are universal, inalienable, and interdependent, aimed at ensuring dignity, equality, and freedom of everyone, for every individual. Human rights are protected under the international law and often enshrined in national constitutions and legal systems. The UDHR defines human rights as the inherent dignity and equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family. This definition you must remember. What is human right? The inherent dignity and equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family. Origin. Part by part, let's go. Ancient rules. Code of Hammurabi. One of the earliest legal codes, it introduced the concept of justice and fairness. Cyrus Cylinder, issued by Cyrus the Great of Persia. Cyrus the Great of Persia, it is considered the first declaration of human rights, ensuring freedom of religion and protection from slavery. Ancient India, Greek and Roman traditions, philosophies emphasized justice, equality and dignity influenced early human rights thinking. Medieval period, Magna Carta, landmark document that limited the powers of the monarchy and established certain legal rights such as protection from unlawful imprisonment. Modern foundation, the Enlightenment period, 17th to 18th century, thinkers like John Locke and Rousseau emphasized natural rights and the social contract. American Declaration of Independence advocated for life, liberty and the pursuit of happiness. French Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen, a pivotal document proclaiming equality and freedom. 20th century and beyond, आज के समय की बात है. UDHR 1948, adopted by the United Nations, it serves as the cornerstone of modern human rights law. International Human Rights Covenants, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, that is ICSE and the previous one is ICCPR, expanded the scope of human rights. Types of human rights. One is civil and political rights. They are first generation rights. They include right to life and personal liberty, freedom of speech and expression, right to a fair trial, right to vote. Second generation human rights, economic, social and cultural rights, right to work, right to education, right to health, right to an adequate standard of living. Third generation of human rights, right to self-determination, right to development, right to a healthy environment, right to peace. Next question, write a short note on fundamental rights enshrined in the Indian Constitution. Fundamental rights are a set of essential rights guaranteed to all citizens by the Constitution of India, mentioned or enshrined in Part 3, Article 12 to 35. Part is 3 and Articles are 12 to 35. These rights ensure equality, freedom and justice, protecting individuals from arbitrary actions of the state and promoting human dignity. Features of fundamental rights: justiciable. Citizens can approach courts to enforce their fundamental rights. Universal, applicable to all citizens irrespective of caste, creed, religion or gender. Reasonable restrictions. Rights are subject to limitations in the interest of public order, morality and national security. Type of fundamental rights: right to equality, Article 14 to 18, equality before the law and prohibition of discrimination. Right to freedom, Article 19 to 22, includes freedom of speech, assembly and movement. Right against exploitation, Article 23 and 24, prohibits human trafficking and child labor. Right to freedom of religion, 25 to 28, guarantees freedom to practice, profess and propagate religion. Cultural and educational rights, 29 to 30, protects the rights of minorities to preserve their culture and establish educational institutions. Right to constitutional remedies, Article 32 for Supreme Court, Article 2 to 6 in the case of High Courts, empowers individuals to seek justice for violation of fundamental rights. Write a short note on Magna Carta. The Magna Carta, also known as the Great Charter, was a landmark document signed in 1215 by King John of England under pressure from rebellious barons. It is considered one of the earliest expressions of constitutional principles and the rule of law. The Magna Carta was intended to limit the powers of the king and protect certain rights of the feudal barons. What are the features of Magna Carta? Rule of law. Established that the king is not above the law. Protection of rights. Guaranteed protection against arbitrary imprisonment and ensured access to fair trials. Taxation with representation. Declared that taxes could not be levied without the consent of the realms council. Foundation of modern liberties. Though initially limited to the barons, its principles inspired later democratic movements and constitutional frameworks. Impact. The Magna Carta's legacy has had a profound impact on modern governance, influencing documents such as the US Constitution, Bill of Rights, and the development of human rights globally. It is created as a cornerstone of liberty and justice. Discuss NHRC in detail. National Human Rights Commission of India. Composition of the NHRC. The National Human Rights Commission is a statutory body established in 1993 under the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993 to promote and protect human rights in India. Composition. The chairperson is the retired Chief Justice of India, but this was not observed while appointing Justice Arun Kumar Mishra, who retired in June 2024. The members are Judicial Member, a retired Judge of the Supreme Court; Judicial Member, a retired Chief Justice of a High Court; 2 members, individuals with knowledge or practical experience in matters related to human rights. Ex officio members are the Chairperson of National Commission for Minorities, National Commission for Scheduled Caste, National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, National Commission for Women. They are the ex officio members of NHRC. Appointment process. The President of India appoints the chairperson and members of on the recommendation of a high-level committee. That high-level committee consisting of the Prime Minister, he is the chairman, Speaker of the Lok Sabha, Union Home Minister, Deputy Chairperson of the Rajya Sabha, leaders of the opposition of both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. The tenure. Chairperson and members serve a term of 3 years or until the age of 70, whichever is earlier. I hope the contents are useful for you. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon. Like it and share it. Your comment is vital for me. Do comment. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much for watching me.